Okay, so when adding fractions, there's three steps we got to take to add fractions. If we don't have a common denominator, we have to find our lowest common denominator. So that's the first thing. Find the LCD, or the lowest common denominator. The second step is to convert each fraction so that it has the same common denominator. And then the last step is to add the fractions. So in order to do this, I've created a template that I want you guys to use. So this is the template right here. So the first thing we're going to do is look at what is our denominators here. What are our two denominators? We've got a 3 and we have a 10. So we're going to go back here. We're going to write a 3 here and a 10 here. And then we're going to start writing multiples of it. Now remember, if you aren't good at counting by 3s or counting by 10s or stuff like that, just take a calculator. If you take the calculator, and we're going to start with the 3. So if you take the calculator and you do 3 plus 3 equals, you're going to get a 6. So I'm going to put a comma here to separate my numbers. 6. Now if you push equals again, it's going to give you a 9. If you push equals again, it's going to give you a 12. Push equals again, it's going to give you a 15, 18, and 21. Now, we can keep doing this a little bit, but then we want to come down here and look at, can we find multiples of this number? So again, if I don't know how to count by tens, then I'm just going to use a calculator. 10 plus 10 equals 20. Push equals again, equals 30. Now, up here, I haven't quite gotten to 30, so let's see if I can get to 30 and if I'll get a 30. If I get past 30, then I might come back down here and do another multiple. But so again, I do 3 plus 3, and I check, equals 6. Push equals again, equals 9, equals 12, equals 15. Again, each time I push the equal sign, I'm going to get the next one, equals 18, then equals 21. Push it again, and now it's going to give me 24. Next, push it again, give me 27. Push it again, gives me 30. Finally. Okay, so I got a common denominator, a number that is both up here and down here. There is no 10, and there is no 20, but there is a 30. So I'm going to circle that. And that gives me my 30, okay? So now what I'm going to do, now that I know that my denominator is 30, I'm going to write a 30 out here to the left. And now I'm going to go back and figure out my fractions. I've got 2/3 and 3/10. So now I'm going to write them in the second step, which is convert fractions. I'm going to write them here. So I've got 2/3. And then what was the other one? Oh, yes, 3/10. 3/10, okay? First thing you're going to do, write your multiplication dots here. One here, one here. And again, we write the dots, not the x, because when we get to algebra, the x that means multiply is going to get confused with our variables. So we write the multiplication dots here, multiplication dots here. Now, what can I multiply 3 by to get 30? Well, 10. And since I'm multiplying the bottom by 10, I also have to multiply the top by 10, okay? Now, what can I multiply 10 by to get 30? I'm trying to multiply something by 10 so that it becomes 30. And if you're good at math, you're going to know it's 3. And again, if I'm multiplying the bottom by 3, I also have to multiply the top by 3, okay? So that my fraction maintains the same value, okay? Now, if you aren't good at math, you're like, I don't know what I'm going to multiply 3 by to get 10. Well, there's a little trick you can do with your calculator. Just take this number 30, which is our lowest common denominator. Take 30, divide it by this denominator, which is 3, and you're going to get 10. Same thing here. If you take 30, divide it by 10, you're going to get 3. Okay? So that's a shortcut. So I'm going to do my math. So what is 2 times 10? It's 20. What is 3 times 10? It's 30. Got to add my plus sign, and I'm adding my plus sign because this is an addition problem. 20 over 30. Now I'm going to convert this fraction. 3 times 3 is 9. And 10 times 3 is 30. Now do I have the same common denominator? I do. So now I just simply add. And remember, in adding and subtracting, you only add the numerators. That's not the same with multiplication and division, but with addition and subtraction, we're only adding the numerators. So what is 20 plus 9? It's 29. And then what is our denominator? Our denominator is 30. So now we've got 30, okay? If it can be simplified, simplify it. I'll show you a different video on that later, but that's what we do, okay? So let's do it one more time. So right here, my answer was 29 over 30. I'm going to write that here. Now let's look at this one, okay? So first, what's the first step? First step is find the LCD, or lowest common denominator. So what are my two denominators here? 2 and 10. So I'm going to go back here to my graphic organizer, and I'm going to write 2 and 10, okay? Now, again, I can count by tens, or I can just on a calculator put 2 plus 2 equals 4. Push equals again, equals 6. Push it again, equals 8. And again, I'm still doing it because this number's still not more than this number. If I pass this number, then I might come down and start doing some multiples here. But this number is 8, still less than 10, so I'm just going to keep going. So I push the equals sign again, and I get, 10. Voila! Now I know that 10 here and a 10 here, so my lowest common denominator is 10. So I'm going to write 10 out here. Okay, over here to the left, because the next step is we're going to convert the fractions so that they have the same common denominator. So my common denominator is 10. Now let's go look at the fractions. What are my fractions? I've got 1/2 and 9/10. So I'm going to come back here and write 1/2. And was it 9/10? I have a really short memory. Yep, 9/10. 9/10. Okay. So again, let's write my multiplication dots here. Multiplication dots. Okay, so what do I multiply 2 by to get 10? And I can either just know by myself that it's 5, or if I don't, I'll take 10, divide it by 2, which gives me 5. If I'm multiplying the bottom by 5, then I got to multiply the top by 5. So now I know what number that I'm using over here. Now, what number am I going to use right here? What can I multiply 10 by to get 10? Well, that's easy. It's 1. And if I don't know that, I can just take 10 and divide it by 10. That's going to give me 1. And if I'm dividing the bottom by 1, then I also have to multiply the top by 1, okay? So let's go ahead and do the math, okay? So what is 5 times 1? It's 5. What is 5 times 2? It's 10. And again, since this is an addition problem, I'm going to write a plus sign here. Now I come over here. What's 9 times 1? It's 9. What is 10 times 1? It's 10. So now I do the math. And again, addition and subtraction, do we add or subtract the denominators? No. So I know that 10 is going to be my denominator. Now I just have to add the numerator. 9 plus 5 equals, and if I don't know, grab your calculator, but it's 14. This is my fraction. Okay, so